I wanted to share some of the books that have helped me and aided me through this journey of a quarter life crisis. First and foremost, we've got the Bible. I don't know. Oh, oh, oh. Is it gonna focus? Okay, I guess not today. Anyways, so we've got the Bible. Oh, this is just my choice of preference. I grew up in the Christian faith, and so I think it just made more sense for me. And I feel like I've always believed in God. Me and my sister were talking the other day, and I was like, you know how kids or babies and toddlers, when they play peekaboo and they close their eyes, it's like they really believe that you're out of sight, out of sight, out of mind. They believe you're gone, you've disappeared. And then when they open their eyes again, they're so excited because, oh my God, you're there. And I was like, dude, that totally feels like my relationship with God. Like, I feel like I'm running in circles, pretending I'm running away from Him. But all I'm doing is I'm literally covering my eyes, like playing peekaboo. And when I cover my eyes, it feels so convincing that, like, God is in there. But He's there the whole time, just like waiting for me to open my eyes. Just to take the hands off my eyes. And I just, yeah, and I just feel like my journey with God has been like that. Like he is always there. He has never left. His love is not conditional to who I am and the decisions that I'm making and the choices I'm making. His love is His. His grace is His. Like, all that He is it belongs to Him. It simply is who He's operating in His authenticity despite of who I am. And it was such, it just, that analogy just made so much sense. But this Bible has gotten me through such tough times, and sometimes, like, the verses in this Bible just seem so perfect for the circumstances I'm in. And the words are so comforting, but also they really challenge me, and they really challenge the emotions I experience while reading them, and they brew questions out of me, and I feel safe to ask those questions, and I also feel ecstatic to receive the answer. And sometimes the answer is silence, sometimes it's not. But yeah, first and foremost, this Holy Bible has really gotten me through a lot. Yeah, it has been like my saving grace. I'm trying to find space on the desk for this. Anyways, moving on. Now this second book right here. I think everybody should read this book. Whether you've gone through like CPTSD, PTSD, just anything traumatic, even if you don't think that your childhood or your adult relationships weren't traumatic in any shape or form, I think everybody should just read this book. It's called Emotional Sobriety. There we go. Perfect. So it says emotional sobriety from relationship trauma to resilience and balance. I think William Cope captures it well here. So he says emotional sobriety describes and outlines a holistic approach to healing the mind, body, and spirit, which is the essence of a healthy recovery. If you want to explore the depths of you that you have tucked away, I think this is a wonderful start. But give yourself grace and give yourself a chance and time. One thing I did was I digested each chapter little by little. And I like to self-reflect. Oftentimes that's journaling, or sometimes making videos, or just audio taping, because I can speak faster than I can write. So this part talks about like the parts, it explores your childhood and how, okay, anyways, I think everybody should just read it. It's a wonderful book. This next one I am loving. It is my current read, as you can tell. I'm only 67 pages in, but you know, I'm still 25, so still in that quarter life crisis, but we're embracing it. It's a whole new perspective now than where I had begun. This is called Radical Acceptance. So far from what I'm reading, so okay, it says Radical Acceptance, Embracing Your Life with the Heart of Buddha, of a Buddha. And the 67 pages that I've read, there's so much information to digest, but one thing that's been relevant is she talks about the pause, kind of like a spiritual pause, and embracing the pause and allowing that to kind of just open your heart, honestly. Yeah, I'm really loving this read right now. This next one, I am literally going to have to reread it, but I need a moment to digest all that I've taken in. I have I have filled up a whole journal from reading this book. There's so much that has came up from my childhood that I had really forgotten or made a point to distract myself from it. And I could not be more thankful. So the next time the first time I read the first portion of it, and I literally had to go back and reread it. I think I reread it like 3-4 times. Just to really capture the essence of what I was reading, but also to give my emotions and my memories a chance to resurface, just to hold more space for them. I felt like they needed more space than they received. And then I read the second portion. There's quite a few exercises in this book. I think I participated in 1 or 2 at the beginning, but I decided to just read the whole book, allow what was coming up to come up, and to experience that presently. And so for my next portion of the read, I really want to focus on the exercises. But it's called You Are the One You've Been Waiting For. How lovely. This says courage will help you take the next big step. Oh my god. Give it a sec. I love this. Okay, so in this book, he talks about applying internal family systems to intimate relationships. In the first part of the book, he really explores the different parts of your personal internal family systems. I know he mentions about the basement children, and how, okay, this book, it's just wonderful. I really love the first portion of it because it focuses on you, and those parts of you, and possibly like how they came about, how they take over, and ways to just hold presence for them so that they have space to show up, like in a way that you can speak for those parts and not allow those parts to overtake, and then you're left with behaviors and decisions that you're not really happy with, you know? And in the second portion, he talks about the different parts of you that can arise from your relationships. So I think one of the examples he gave is, let's say you go through an issue, and then you decide to come back, but the issue is too uncomfortable for both of you to discuss. But it's like this big elephant that will always, or this big shadow that will always follow you guys throughout your relationship unless you sit down and face it. And how, oh, that's what it is. He talks about exiles, the exiled parts of you, and how they show up sometimes. Yeah, I love this book. Funny enough, I was listening to the podcast with him and Forrest Hansen and Dr. Rick, and they were discussing the internal family systems. And I forgot what question Forrest asked him, but he ended up mentioning this book. And so it was an hour-long podcast, and I listened to it like 3-4 times, just because the first time I listened to it, it was almost like he was speaking a different language. Like, I know he was speaking English, but I couldn't understand him. So I was like, okay, I need to listen again. And I went and listened. And I was like, I think I'm getting it, but I'm really not. Now I'm hearing words I understand. And the third time I was like, okay, I hear you. And the fourth time I was like, oh, I feel like I'm beginning to understand. Anyways, Forrest asked him a question, and he ended up mentioning this portion of the book. And I genuinely went and bought it on Amazon that same second. But no regrets whatsoever. And this last book, this is a jewel. Yeah. This book has done wonders for me. I have genuinely cried every chapter that I have read. And I feel like I'm highlighting every sentence in the book. But it's just so profound, and it just makes so much sense to me. But it's called Women Who Run with Wolves. Now, this book is well written. It is. She goes into such great detail. She leaves no room for question. Every question you have, she has already answered. And yeah, it's so healing. I don't even want to. Actually, let's just read this portion of it. It says, within every woman, there's a wild and natural creature, a powerful force filled with good instincts, passionate creativity, and ageless knowing. Her name is Wild Woman, but she is an endangered species. Though the gifts of wildish nature come to us at birth, society's attempt to civilize us into rigid roles has plundered this treasure and muffled the deep, life-giving message of our own souls. Without wild women, we become over-domesticated, fearful, uncreative, trapped. I think every woman should read this book. And you know what? Every man. I have yet to know what you will receive from this, but all I know is what I have gained from this book. Yeah. So these are some of the books that I have spent a lot of time reading, that have really aided me in my journey of grieving, in my journey of acceptance, and in my journey of discovery, just becoming curious of myself. Yeah.